Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Kingdom Hearts SORA. This came out a little while ago. It was like 2017. Yeah, 2017 it says it on the package over there. And I'm reviewing it now because SORA's in Smash, and I thought you guys might like to see it, and I happened to be able to get one for a good price, so I did. And I'm always happy to add a nice figure to the Smash collection, and this figure is a nice figure. There's a lot of good stuff going on. Not too much that's bad, it's just some stuff that's not like particularly great. But yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting review, so let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands to the top of the hair about just shy of 14 centimeters, which makes him pretty close to, let's just say 5 3/8 inches. So he's going to be in scale for the Smash collection just fine. It'll work out very well with all the other, which are mostly SH Figuarts or Figma, some World of Nintendo, that kind of stuff, but it's going to fit in just fine. Maybe not exactly perfect, but this costume for him is featured in the game. There are only two figures of SORA from SH Figuarts. This one and then the one that's all white. That one's in the game too, but this is more of like a P1 type look for SORA, so that's why I wanted to get this one. And this one does run you in the aftermarket, of course, since it's 5 years old now almost. Around 150 bucks, I think. Maybe a little bit less. Unless you are really, really patient, then you can track it down for a lot less, which is what I did. Good luck with that. I don't want to give anybody any leads because I don't want to make an unfair advantage for somebody out there who might have been hunting for a while or something like that. Anyway, it can be had for around 60 bucks. That's what I paid for it. Anyway, it's a pretty cool looking figure. Before we get into the rest of the review though, quick question. How do you feel about SORA being the last character added to Smash? That should stir up some emotions for some people. Some of you are going to love it. Some of you are going to hate it. Let's talk in the comment section below. Okay, so this guy, it's basically all about the aesthetics for this figure. He doesn't pose all that well. We'll get into the articulation. He doesn't have a ton of accessories. We will talk about those. But he does have a lot of detail work, painted and sculpted. If you look at his torso alone, there's just line work and coloring everywhere. Little sculpted bits, the necklace around his neck, like I had to add that. It's all painted really well. His face is done with like a dot matrix tampography. So if you get in super close, it looks speckly, but from any normal distance, it looks really good. The sculpt for the hair is really nice. Sculpt on the zipper, like it's just all sculpted and painted really, really well. His big goofy pants and shoes, nice detail work all the way throughout. It looks good on the back, even though there's not as much stuff going on. It is very, very nicely detailed, and it's well proportioned. I think it's a good recreation of the character. So yeah, from an aesthetic standpoint, it's like a 10 out of 10. It's really, really nice. It looks great. Now, as far as accessories go, we have the two fist hands that come on him in the package, two gripping hands that peg into each other so he can like double hand his sword. Then we have two wide open hands. For the faceplates, we have the kind of smiling face, a different kind of smiling sort of face, and then the yelling face. And then lastly, of course, we get his keyblade with a nice little chain and the Mickey Mouse thingy at the bottom there. Very nicely detailed. And that's it. It doesn't come with the most stuff, but I think that's enough. The only thing I'd really want from this guy is a stand, like a flight stand or something, posing stand. So that's still a good enough batch. I'll say 8 out of 10. It's a pretty good array of accessories. Now, as far as the articulation goes, this guy is fairly limited, though as you can tell, he looks pretty good. As we already mentioned, most of his articulation is really well hidden, so that's going to lean into the aesthetic over the articulation. Now the head, let me just pop the faceplate off for you. He's very spiky. There we go. The head is on a little tiny ball hinge with almost nowhere to go. So you have very, very minimal articulation. You're mostly going to get some rotation, but as you can see on the back of the neck, they hollowed it out for that peg to drop to sit into, to lean back, so you can't rotate there anymore. You can only rotate it if the head's up, which you don't really want to do because then the chin is pushing into the neck. So you're very limited. You can rotate the whole neck, I think. Mine never wants to do it. Does it work or not? Yeah, the neck is on a ball peg. I thought so. Okay, so you can rotate the whole neck, but it's going to be a pain in the butt. So the neck articulation blows. It doesn't work well. It's over-engineered. A couple of ball pegs would have been far superior, easier to handle, and it would have worked at least as well. So don't like that at all. Definitely not pleased with the way they did the neck. Okay, for the shoulders, we have a butterfly joint, which is virtually useless. It's all the way in there. I know it's black, so you're not going to be able to see it all that well, but you can see back here, kind of. There's a butterfly joint. It just doesn't really afford any range. So otherwise, you get a ball peg and a ball hinge, and his arms go up about that high, not even horizontal. So that's pretty dang limited. Of course, you do get your rotation, but he's got this big like hood thing up here, so it's very limited in that regard too. So yeah, you're gonna have to be very creative with your posing on this guy. You do get a bicep swivel at the top, then you do get like a ball peg for where the arm connects to the sleeve. So you can do that, and you can get more bicep swivel out of that. And you can rotate the joint itself. So that's good. You can pose from like the bicep down really well. The shoulder itself is very limited though. And because of the way his sleeves are, you're only gonna get about 90 degrees. So very limited. Again, almost all the way around, this guy's very limited. The ball hinge wrists do work nicely, there's no problem there. For the torso, we have a few different ball pegs scattered around with some floating bits, and that's it. Like, you get rotation, of course, but leaning side to side, very limited. Forward and back, very limited. Almost nothing again. For the hips, we have hinged ball pegs, but they have almost no range, going up and down that way, and you can kick the legs out about that much. So very little range going forward, going back almost none. Going out to the side, because these things lift up a little bit, he does have decent distance out to the side, decent range out to the side, but still very, very limited range. Thigh swivel does work, so that's nice. Now the knees, they have these little filler spots back here that make the pants look good, and when you bend the knees, those fold up, and the legs work, so you get about 90 degrees. Unfortunately, they made the knee black instead of skin colored, which is not good, because they already did make other joints in skin color, which means they had the plastic and the molds and everything. So it's very strange to me that they chose to make the knees black. Not that you're going to see them a whole bunch, but that joint being black does look bad. It should just be skin colored and it would have looked great. But they did a good job overall engineering that, so I'll give them that. Now the best thing about this figure in terms of articulation, the ankles. It's just a giant ball peg at the end of the shin bone, which lets the foot go down, it lets it go forward, it lets it lean, so you get really nice ankle rocker. You can just pose the foot however you want, and it works really well, so I love that. And then lastly, we have a toe hinge, which is humongous and has virtually zero range and is pretty ugly and doesn't really serve much of a purpose. So, like I told you, I warned you ahead of time, he doesn't have good articulation. He doesn't pose all that well. You're gonna be able to pose him enough to put him in like a hero pose or something like that and stick him on a smash shelf, but don't expect to be doing any crazy dynamic poses with this guy. It's just not gonna work. You're gonna have to be very creative, and it's still not gonna work all that well. So articulation on this guy gets like a 6 out of 10. It's not that it's poorly engineered. I don't know that they could have done a whole lot better, but just because of the character design and some engineering that's not great, especially for the neck, it's not there. It's not there at all. So you have decent accessories, bad articulation, and a really good aesthetic. For me, that's fine, personally. As a reviewer, that's not a great combination of things, because Figuarts are meant to be posed. They have loads of articulation because that is their purpose. It does make up for it in the aesthetics, though. So I'm going to give this guy a final verdict of 7 out of 10. It does have a really good look to it, good enough accessories, and bad articulation. That averages out to a solid release. Nothing disappointing, but it would definitely have been nice for him to be able to pose a whole lot more. So there it is, guys. Let me know what you thought about the figure, or let me know what you think about the figure. Let me know what you thought about the review. You can give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. You can give it a thumbs down if you didn't. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.